Hello, longboarding mom. This is step 2 of burrito making process. I decided to make it into steps because the pico video took about 20 minutes. I'm going to edit and blah, 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 whatever. But it's still, we're going to do pico, tortillas, and burritos. So it's going to be 3 steps. This is my tortilla recipe. I have had this, since like 2009, 10 maybe. I got this. We used to go shopping at Winco, and they had these big bags of flour, Lapina flour, and I don't even know if I'm saying that right. And they came in flour bags, not even paper bags, they were actual like cloth bags, and I've got a couple of them. I was gonna make into pillows and I never did. I still have them, so maybe one day I will make them into pillows because they don't make them anymore. And so I've got 2. I got a pink one and a blue one. So one day maybe you'll see Crystal's flour bag pillows. Who knows? But this recipe came from that bag. I think I got a smaller bag of it because this is a paper. And they when they started making them smaller and smaller and getting rid of it, I didn't know what I was going to do. I started freaking out. How am I going to make my tortillas? Because the flour seemed finer. I tried using like different flours, and it didn't work all that well. And maybe I was just being too picky because I started buying Pillsbury and that worked fine. Now I just use my regular Winco flour that I buy. But this recipe I follow almost to the T, and I get pretty good tortillas out of them every time. I have to make these instead of buy them because my family don't like the ones in the store. They're too rubbery, they're yucky, there's all those ingredients in them. When you make these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients. 5 ingredients. But it does take a little bit of time. So we're going to get this going because my husband will be home in a couple hours. I'm going to have these already made. So when he does get home, all I have to do is make the meat and the beans and throw them together, and I'll show you how to roll them and actually make them, because I know it's not that easy to roll a burrito. Some people don't know how. I sifted 2 cups of flour, but it looks like more, so we're gonna measure. I need 3.5 cups of flour in this bowl. That's more than a half a cup. That's 2 cups. It says it holds 2 cups in there. So I need 3.5 cups. So I need to sift 1.5 more cups. One cup. And a half. Okay, 3 1.5 cups of flour, and we are going to need another cup. I always put an extra cup out because I'm going to sprinkle my mat with the flour, so when we roll it out, we have some flour out here. I need 1 teaspoon of salt. Whoops, that's more than a teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. It's almost like making biscuits with the baking powder and salt and shortening. You never know what drawer my husband's going to put my pie cutter in. There it is. So I like to mix that salt and baking powder around before I add in 1/2 cup of shortening. And I just used the Kroger brand. I could not find any Winco shortening. It was all Crisco, and Crisco is way expensive. And this stuff works just as good as Crisco does. Like Lake Prairie said, they make them all at the same plant. They might just add a little bit less or something, or a little bit more or something sometimes, but sometimes it's usually exactly the same. Okay, so we're going to, so I don't just dump this in everywhere, I kind of like spread it around. I'm going to go take my rings off because here in a second I'm going to get my hands messy. Okay, let's cut this in. You can use a pie cutter. You can use 2 knives. When you use 2 knives, you slice them back and forth. Now I know I should use a bigger bowl, but this is my favorite bowl. Do you have a favorite bowl, a favorite pan, a favorite utensil? I know I can make things easier by using different things, but I don't like the other bowls I have. I like this bowl. And I used to have a set of them, and slowly but surely they broke. And the teeniest, tiniest one someone stole from me. They're Pyrex bowls. I love Pyrex bowls. You can bake in these bowls. I've made a cake in this bowl. I've actually made my daughter's baby shower cake in this bowl. It was a belly cake. Okay, so all of that Crisco, well, shortening, whatever you want to call it, whatever you're using, is cut up into it. So we are going to add to it 1 cup of cold water. I don't know why it's supposed to be cold, but I get mine out of the refrigerator. It's filtered. I get my water from my in-laws because we have had lots of issues in my town with water. And again, we are on another boil notice for our water, and we don't get a notice until like 3 days after the fact. So I am so glad I don't use the city water. So I'm going to add a cup of cold water to this. My measuring glass, my cold water, and this actually has measurements on it, but it's 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of water. I usually always add the 1 cup, sometimes more. I don't need that anymore. Put that in my sink. And while this is resting for the 15 minutes, I'll wash my dishes. It's always good to keep a clean kitchen. And it makes cleanup a cinch. So I kind of add this slowly, mix it around. Like I said, sometimes you don't have to add the whole amount, and sometimes you do. So you want to add it slowly. You don't want it too wet. You could always add a little bit more water to it when you're mixing it, if you need to. I've actually added water as I've been kneading it before because it was too dry. I'm going to add it all. And I don't care if my flour spills out because I'm just going to dump this out onto that surface anyway and start kneading it here in a second. I got to knead this for 5 minutes. See, it's all... I'm going to put my hands in some flour here. And I know it's not all formed yet, but that's where I form it, right here. Get all of that out. I might have to add a little bit more water to that because it's lots of flour in there. I wonder if it's because of sifting it. So I just kind of, maybe not, maybe the dough is wet enough. You never know. You just start playing with it and working it in there. And it feels like it's still wet, so I can just keep adding all that flour to it and give it a good 5 minutes of kneading. I don't even know if I knead my flour right. Okay, it hasn't even really been 5 minutes, but you can see the dough is like pushes back at you. It's kind of, I can't explain it. It's soft, it's springy. So I am going to roll it out, and we're going to cut it into 12 pieces, and we're going to make 12 tortillas out of it. Get that out of the way there. That's the flaky stuff. It's a workout trying to roll this and knead it and stuff. Women were strong back in the day. So I use my scraper this neat little pad here has numbers on it, 1 through 12. And look at that. I'm pretty good at that. Pretty good at knowing how far to go. Okay. Sometimes I cut it too big, so we will see. Two, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that one's kind of small, so I sometimes grab from other ones and make them work. And then we are going to sprinkle a little bit of flour in this corner here. And we're going to make little balls and let these rest. I'm going to cover them with a little wet towel, damp towel. Not too wet because we don't want these to get wet. We want them to stay moist but not get too wet. You don't want them to dry out either. This one's kind of small. That's okay. We'll have a small one. It's okay to have small ones. When I first started rolling these, I used to, and I still don't get them perfectly round, but, meaning rolling them out. These, I was never good with Play-Doh. I could never make little balls. I could never make anything. I always had my dad do it for me. But anyway, so, when I was first rolling these out, I was making all kinds of different shapes. You could say I made probably every state in the United States. And now I'm pretty good. I can get them pretty round. But that's also years and years and years and years of practice. So, oh, this one's going to be a baby one too. Okay, so we are going to set some. I bought these cloths, so I only use these for my tortillas. And we're going to cover them up for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to come out and roll it. But first, we're going to clean up this mess. I have my wet cloth down here, so when I'm done rolling one of these out, I'll lay it down and cover it up. So I put a little bit of flour down, kind of smash it down a little bit. I'm going to flour that up. And this was one of the small ones, so let's see how big we can make it. I'll probably just show you a couple of them, not all of them. And then we'll show you how to heat them up on the stove. You don't want to put too much flour down because it makes it too dry and not easy to roll. As you can tell, I don't have an easy time with this mat, but I do what I can do. There we go. That's one of them. I'm going to put it down under this right here, cover it up, and start on another one. This one's a little bit bigger. Fold it over. I give different pressure points too, sometimes to help even out some spots. See, they don't always end up round, do they? because they're not that easy to roll out. They are, but they're not. I'm gonna fold it over. Make a couple more before I start cooking them. And I get better as I go, see? Okay, make sure you heat your pan up hot enough. That's my weird shaped one. Oops, I folded it. There we go. You want to pop those air bubbles, but be really careful because the steam comes out and can get you. Thicker on the edge there.